What's up, adventurers, and welcome back to the campfire. I am writing this because I don't know what to do. I saw something unexplainable, and I have no one to tell. I don't know who to trust anymore. Honestly, after what unfolded, I don't think I'll be able to trust anyone ever again. When I woke up yesterday morning, nothing was amiss. It seemed like an ordinary Monday. I went through my usual routine: wake up, hit snooze button, wake up, hit snooze button again, wake up, realize I slept too late, do a mad dash to get ready for work, jump in my car, forget my lunch that I made the night prior. Ordinary run-of-the-mill Monday. First, I noticed that something was off during the commute to work. I normally leave in time to beat the traffic, but I found myself swerving multiple times to avoid collision. Dozens of cars were sitting idle in the road. When I saw the first one, I blared my horn thinking some drunk idiot fell asleep at the wheel. But the further I drove, the more of them I noticed. By the time I got to the office, I was thoroughly freaked out. I had to tell someone. Jim, my boss, he was a guy I could rely on. Sort of a father figure. Jim would know what to do. I made a beeline for his office once I clocked in for my shift. I got all the way to the door before I was stopped by my coworker, Steve. "Hey, Mac, how are ya?" Weird. Steve usually kept to himself. "Hey, Steve," I said, trying to brush past him. "Mac, why don't you grab some coffee with me?" "Not now, Steve. I've got to talk to Jim. It's important." "Ah, tough luck. Jim's out today." "Yep, out on sick leave," Carol from HR chimed in. "Ah, darn. I guess I'll have to come back another time," I said, turning to leave. I didn't let either of them know, but I saw Jim's silhouette from behind the frosted glass. I knew in that moment that something was very wrong. On the way back to my cube, I decided to stop off at my friend Sandy's desk to make idle chit-chat. Maybe pick her brain to see if she knew anything. "Hey, Sandy, Sandy was slumped over. Her eyes had a vacant, uncanny look to them. They were gray, like a static TV screen. I backed away, dread rising in my gut. In my stupor, I knocked into Steve. He met me with a strange smile. "Steve, it's Sandy. She's not moving. We have to call someone." Steve made a show of acting shocked. "Oh, how awful. I'm CPR certified. I'll take care of it." As if on cue, Carol appeared out of nowhere. "Steve and I will ensure that everything is all right. Go back to your desk. You'll only get in the way." "But Go." Carol's stare took on an intensity I had never witnessed before. Heart thudding in my chest, I retreated to my cubicle. The whole interaction felt wrong. I've taken CPR classes before. You need an AED and call an emergency services ASAP. Steve and Carol didn't seem to be in a rush for either of those. Before I had time to contemplate, I received an email on my work phone. Subject: inclement weather. All. Due to the risk of inclement weather, employees are to work remotely for the remainder of the day. Regards, Carolyn H. A sense of unease clawed at my insides. There were only scattered showers forecasted. Nothing worth that big of a precaution. My head spun from everything I'd seen as I started up my car. I decided to stop at the local Starbucks and set up shop there. Maybe a little coffee and food would help me calm down. Vehicles dotted the parking lot, and a few customers were lined up at the drive-thru, but it looked like no one was inside when I pulled in. I decided to enter anyway. With my laptop tucked under my arm, I flung the door open. I instantly froze. I knew the franchise owner, Larry, from high school. He was always a stand-up guy, but this... Larry was trying to lift up one of his workers. The girl was completely limp, her upper body hunched forward. What chilled me most was her eyes. The girl had that same staticky look in her eyes that Sandy did. Mac, it's not what it looks like. Clara here is, narcoleptic. She's having an episode." "Come on, Larry, tell me the truth. People with narcolepsy don't do that. Please, I have to know what's going on." Sweat beaded atop Larry's brow. Nothing's wrong, Mac. Everything's fine. Larry was straining. A vein throbbed in his temple. I gotta use the restroom. Feel free to join me if you gotta use the restroom. He disappeared into the men's room. I set my laptop down. I wasn't stupid. I took the hint and followed him inside. I entered just in time to hear Larry slide the lock on one of the stalls. I entered the adjacent one and did the same. "All right," Larry whispered in his low voice. "I don't know if they can hear us in here, but Mac, you need to act normal. They're watching." "Who? Larry, who's watching? And what's wrong with Clara? I just want answers." "I'm sorry. I can't tell you anymore. Exit your stall a couple minutes after I do. Order coffee and go home. Mac, you can't let on that you know. That's how people disappear." I didn't get a chance to ask any more questions. Larry exited the restroom, leaving me to mull over his words. I did exactly as I was told. I left the stall a few minutes after Larry and ordered a black coffee. Larry seemed jumpy. He whipped up the coffee, shoved it in my hands, and almost forgot to take my money. I was halfway to my car, ready to make it home and escape all the weirdness, when it happened. I felt a sharp blow to the back of my head and my vision faded. I awoke in my bed. My alarm blared, forcing my eyes awake. The time on my phone read 6:30 a.m. A whole day had passed. I was wearing my pajamas. But how? Was the entire thing just a dream? The dull throbbing in my head told me otherwise. I raced to the bathroom and pulled out my phone. I took a picture of the spot where I remembered feeling the blow. There was definitely something there. I could see a spot of dried blood. That was my proof that I wasn't insane. After deliberating, I decided to go into the office. Maybe I could get something out of Jim or Sandy. I raced out of the door earlier than usual. I half expected to find the same scene as the day prior, dozens of cars sitting idly on the road. But that's not what I found. Traffic had gone back to normal. No cars in the streets, no drivers slumped over their steering wheels. Part of me was relieved. Another part of me needed to know what happened to those stalled vehicles. I was so eager to get into the building that I nearly forgot to shut off my car. I raced up to Jim's office, determined not to let Steve or Carol get in my way. "Hey, Mac," Steve said en route, grinning like a Cheshire cat. I didn't respond. I just pursed my lips and walked past him. I pounded on Jim's door, this time unimpeded. His deep baritone voice answered from the other side. "Come in." I spilled into Jim's office. He sat there, rigid as an arrow. He loosened a bit when he saw that it was me. "Mac, take a seat, son. You look like you've seen a ghost." "I feel like I've seen a ghost." Jim slumped back in his chair. "You should take a sick day if you need it. Don't push yourself." "Jim, there's something I need to tell you. This is going to sound insane, but please, just listen." He leaned forward, elbows resting on his desk. "I'm all ears." "I'm pretty sure I saw something I wasn't supposed to. People in this town, some of them aren't real." Jim's brows furrowed. "Mac, I think you should go home. When's the last time you had a day to yourself?" "Jim, I know what I saw. I'm not crazy." "I never said you were." "You didn't have to." I stood from my chair and made my exit. Jim just sat and watched as his door clicked shut. Jim didn't believe me. Either that or he was in on it. He was the only one in that office I felt comfortable confiding in. "Hey, Mac, how's it going?" Sandy stood from her desk as I passed, lively as ever. "Sandy, I'm so glad you're all right. You gave me a real scare yesterday." Sandy cocked her head to the side. A pit began to form in my stomach. "What are you talking about, Mac? The episodes you had, you just blue-screened. Steve did CPR, you don't remember that?" Sandy pursed her lips. "Mac, are you feeling okay? I definitely would have remembered if that happened." No, Not you too. By that point, I was drawing stairs. I backed away, feeling as if thousands of eyes were traveling up and down my body like insects. My primal instincts kicked in and I ran. I sprinted through the office like a maniac, desperate to get away from the prying eyes closing in on me from every corner. I don't care if I lost my job. I jumped in my car and peeled out of there. I ended up at the one place I thought I could find someone who wouldn't call me crazy. The door jingled as I entered. Clara was standing at the counter with a couple of her co-workers milling about. I didn't see Larry among them. "How can I help you, sir?" "Hi, is Larry in today? I need to talk to him." Clara's brows furrowed. My breath hitched in my throat. "Sir, I think you're mistaken. We don't have anyone named Larry working here." All the color drained from my face. I didn't respond. I walked out of that coffee shop and I raced home as fast as I could. It's been about 4 days since then. I've holed up in my house until I can figure out what to do. I'm not crazy. I'm not. I remember everything. The bump on my head is still there as evidence. Please, someone help me. I think I've seen too much. I'm terrified. I don't know what they've done with Larry, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be next.